Hi, this is Leighton Jin. I'm the Director of Development for the American Documentary and Animation Film Festival, which will be March 25th to 29th. I have one of my favorite filmmakers here, Masha Ellsworth, the wonderfully talented Masha Ellsworth. She is a powerhouse over at Pixar, but she also does her own independent projects that are so charming and so thoughtful. And the latest one is The Wishing Tree. Masha, thanks for talking to me. And can you tell me about your new film?
Hi, thank you so much for your very generous introduction. And it's such an honor to attend the festival this year. And I will be premiering my animated short film, Wishing Trees. This is a world premiere, and I couldn't be more excited about it. And in this film, I wanted to explore trees communication. And in the recent years, there has been, articles and books and like YouTube videos dedicated to that subject. And when I first learned about it, I became sort of inspired by this, not even a story, by the scientific fact of how trees communicate and how wise the nature can be, how unconditional the nature um, supports its parts. And so the film explores trees communication and contrasts the wisdom of nature to the wisdom of humans.
Makes me
Yeah.
kind of laugh because I've heard this before, and quite frankly, I heard it from Ted Lasso, so I'm not the smartest guy. I didn't get the best information from places, but they say trees are a socialist community, and they all work together for the greater good and stuff like that. Can you go a little bit further into the compare and contrast about tree communication and human communication? I know that's a theme of this film.
Yeah, so I just have to maybe start from the beginning how I got the idea. And right before COVID, I someone gave me a book about tree communications, and um, I didn't start reading it right away. I was so busy, before COVID, we were just like making lots of plans and not having a quiet moment. And then COVID hit, and I suddenly found myself having so much time for things like reading books. And I picked up this book, and at the same time, I felt isolated. Like I obviously had my family and could remote into work, but was missing like a more like a wider human connection. I would go on a lot of walks. I live in the area with lots of paths, but there's one particular street where trees are super tall. You can tell they were planted there a long time ago, and when you go down the street, you're like under this canopy of trees, and they're huge trees where the roots are like ripping up concrete and whatnot. But there's a feeling, like I always felt like, oh, I'm like in this enchanted urban forest, and this is not a forest area at all. And as I was reading the book, The Hidden Life of Trees, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is what I'm feeling, that like these trees communicate to each other and like they live their own rich life. And so to me, I kind of like formed a personal connection with trees. And on my walks, I felt a little less isolated. Like I was walking amongst these living creatures that we might not see uh, their life or notice it because it's different in pacing from human life, but underneath and like sort of above the ground and underneath the ground, the what trees are capable of doing was so fascinating. And I started to research this topic, and I was just fascinated um, because lots of trees form connections underground that we don't see. And they help each other like pass nutrients around. And what was remarkable is they will help trees that are not of their kind. So
Mhm.
even if it's a tree that they're not related to, it's not the same type of a tree, they will share their resources. If they have like abundance of resources, they will send it to support a tree. And
Hmm.
to me, that was just so fascinating. It was so interesting that because you think, oh, like survival of the fittest in the natural world, yet here
Hmm.
they were helping each other. And you can also find scientists talk about like trees in Africa when they're attacked by bugs or whatever, they would send distress signals through the root system, and other trees will like release pollen, like release smell to like help those trees. And
Oh.
so like there's a tree communication happening, and we might not notice it, we and in the story I'm contrasting this like wisdom of trees supporting unconditionally each other versus humans. And in my story, humans have a different relationship to trees. They make a wish and like put something on a tree, hoping that the wish comes true. And ultimately, the story explores like what is a human capable of when the wish doesn't come true. Yeah.
Hmm. I'm so fascinated. That's such a great, I never thought of trees that intensely, but when you think about it, it's just kind of a beautiful thing, and it's kind of an interesting thing. Kind of brings me to this kind of other question. It's a little bit related, but not related. But I think for me, it's also about art in this day and age. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on in this world, and
Yeah.
sometimes art, and there's issues about censorship, and a lot of people are feeling distress or whatever. How important do you think art is today? Uh, Maybe more than ever, because over history, art has been a great communicator and um, unifier of people.
Yeah.
As you said, like art's more important today. What's your thought about art, both as on your level as an
Yeah.
independent and also on the larger level when you work for the giant conglomerate Pixar?
Yeah, I think you're so right. Art is such a great like communicator, and also um, art can be used as a like activism. You can be an activist through art if you feel that could be one way. In my film, I've decided to actually have no dialogue because I wanted people from all over the world to understand the message of my film. And there's beautiful music that communicates enough with the acting that you see on screen to get it. And I think to me personally, art has always had this incredible tendency to like communicate through space and through time.
Mhm.
Whenever I visit anywhere in the world and I'm able to see art that's not from even my culture, my background. I can be moved, I can be touched by it, I can be inspired to change something in my life and change the perception of what I've had in my life. So I've always been fascinated by art history
Mhm.
and how before humans before a lot of us could read and write, how
Mhm.
art was used. Sometimes it was used for propaganda, sometimes yeah, it's a very powerful tool. And I sometimes my mind goes back to like the cave paintings
Mhm.
that so like you can still go and see them, and that's incredible that something that like that human has decided to put on a wall in a cave has survived this long. So yeah, art is extremely powerful, and what we choose to communicate with art uh, can change depending on who's using art as a tool. And I hope that artists with the rise of AI and all the valid concern that this brings up, that the value of human arts can actually be appreciated more, right? Like
Mhm.
as we get more and more of art generated by computers, where you might not feel the human touch, I hope that what humans do touch and what we create intentionally will be valued more.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've had discussions in the past about AI, but and we'll touch on it here in a sec. But I
Yeah.
want to touch on this other thing that you mentioned. You don't have any verbal communication in this.
Hmm.
And your last film, I don't remember verbal communication, but you communicate through music. Can you talk about music and how it's important for you and your storytelling?
Yeah. I think this is my favorite part of working on my films, and very often I will hear a melody and I will be inspired to put like visuals to what I'm hearing. I don't know if other people, when they listen to music, if they suddenly hear like see stories, but that's how it works for me. And this time, it was just like that. Like there was a music that to me inspired this story of nature. And then I created the story, sort of like the animatic and whatnot. And I started to talk to my composer, like, how can we tell this story musically? And I have an incredibly talented composer on board, Rebecca Niska, and this is the third time we're collaborating. And I wanted her to bring her vision of music and nature and like what would be her take on the story. And it was pretty incredible because I'm not like I love music. I'm not trained in to play any musical instrument, but it's my favorite part to collaborate with someone who thinks musically. And there's a part. So as we were compose like as we were working through the score, she was composing it, but I was giving my input. We would have these working sessions and just come up with ideas. And we were there's a moment, there's a low moment in in a film, and we were talking about like, okay, well, how would a tree communicate distress? What is because like trees cannot talk, obviously, right? Like, how can we musically put that in the trees in distress? And we decided, like, we just had this idea. Okay, well, there's an SOS signal. Like humans, when we're not able to, when our voice doesn't carry before the technology we have right now, we would have SOS signals and Morse code, right? That's the most basic type of communication. And so in the score, we put SOS basically. There's part of the score where if you look at the notes, and you can kind of feel it because it's like this repetitive part of the melody. And it was, yeah, it was so fun to go there to explore musical themes that are not, not conventional. So yeah,
Mhm.
and then we also got to record with a Budapest orchestra. So it's a bigger orchestra that I've ever worked with, and it
Wow.
was fascinating to have that experience and to just see how professional musicians can look at the score for the first time and just play it. To me, it was like everything was perfect from the first take. We've made multiple takes, but it was just like, wow, yeah, I just love that part of filmmaking.
That's just inspiring. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's just it's funny how you talked about it. I never thought about that way. That you came up with this vision just through with your ears to create this, and
Yeah.
just talking to you in the past with the others, like the last year's and this year's film, it is music that kind of inspires you.
Hmm.
We've talked about AI in the animation
Yeah.
world, and I think we've talked about different things, the good and the bad. In the year since we've spoken about AI, is there anything that's been a breakthrough or anything that's kind of changed your views about AI? I think we've talked about it being positive because it will expedite the process and maybe bring in new storytellers. But then obviously
Hmm.
you have the
Yeah.
issues with copyright and, I mean, fake stuff too.
Yeah. I think there are definitely a lot of reasonable, very valid concerns about, copyright and how the models are trained. I think like with a lot of advancement in humanity, like uh, we now appreciate, like when we first have a breakthrough, it comes with a lot of negative and positive, and I think it will take some time for the humans to figure out how do we regulate it? How do we make it as a positive tool that definitely can help, especially in the indie space, like give elevate the voices that right now, like we don't hear in media and in film, but definitely will be a while to see like how do we properly pay the artists whose work has been used to train these models, and like how do we morally go about it. I think I every few months, like I do a deep dive into current AI tools, and there are definitely advancements from like year to year. I do see that like right now AI is hard to direct. So even right now, I feel like anyone can use a model and create a film, a
Mhm.
live action film and a short film. I think the quality of the film, like who would want to watch it, uh, would, you could argue like is it a good film or whatnot. But anyway, even now, I think you can make films, and people do.
Mhm.
I think the intentional, like being able to direct your animators or direct your actors, I haven't seen anything that is appealing. And I think maybe for people that are outside of the film industry, they don't understand how like almost like intimate processes it is between a
Mhm.
director and an actor and actors in the scene, and it's the same in animation. There's a lot of like human interaction and vulnerability that even the actor has to access to produce a compelling performance in
Mhm.
both live action in animation. And I think right now, at least right now, AI is not trained on that. Like, how do you train AI to be vulnerable? And I don't know if I'm not sure we have the technology to do it right now or to like replicate it right now. We might in the future.
Mhm.
So, can you make a lot of slop right now? Like, yes. But uh, we usually humans like to connect to what we're
Mhm.
consuming to like, and that connection is missing right now. Yeah,
Yeah, I think people forget the process, and the creative process is a very organic thing. And
yeah,
there's lots of stuff that goes into it that makes it come alive that maybe we don't even recognize or we think about, just
yeah,
little mannerisms, little things that make it feel alive. And I
yeah.
think AI can't figure that out. And sometimes we do it without figuring it out. It's just instinctual for us.
Yeah, and I do have to say, and again, there's some positive things like about AI. So I grew up in Ukraine. English is my second language, and so a lot of my family doesn't speak English well enough to maybe enjoy the same type of entertainment that I would enjoy. And it is becoming a little bit easier for me to share something, like maybe share a video or that's in English, but it's auto dubbed or auto translated into other languages. Of course, it would mean that like interpreters, translators would get less jobs. So it's like undeniably it changes the job market. But it is becoming a little bit easier to
Mhm.
communicate or like consume media that like you probably would not be able to consume or understand because it's just like a different language. Yeah.
Um, so this is going to be your third festival, right?
Yeah.
Here.
Yes.
When you've been here at AmDocs, you've seen a lot of films about a lot of filmmakers. Have you been inspired, and has it inspired inspiration has it led to something that maybe you're working on for the future from AmDoc, from whether the people who met? Because I have one person in mind that you met last year, but I'm just kind of curious if you've been inspired to work on something that you've learned from AmDocs.
Yeah, I think every time I talk about MDocs, I try to promote it and say like, you probably wouldn't think of animation and documentaries being a natural fit, and I didn't think like, what do they have in common? But then I came to the festival and I met a lot of documentary filmmakers and
Mhm.
realized like, oh, how amazing it is that if there's missing footage or maybe the topic is too sensitive, they use animation, or even to appeal to like a different type of audience, they animation. So they use animation in their films. So I have made a lot of friends with with documentary filmmakers, and I and now we meet outside of the festival. And hang out, try to find time to hang out with each other and visit with each other, and we inspire each other, because I get to see their projects, like outside of animation or what I do. I think the style of documentary filmmaking is what is very inspirational for me, and just trying to think of animation is not just like, oh, like, it's a way to tell stories about superheroes or princesses, right? Animation can be used for more serious subjects, and yeah, just the tone of documentaries I see has inspired like what topics I can tackle in my work. Yeah.
What I found inspiring about it is, a stumbling block for a lot of documentaries is not having archival footage, and you're just not going to have
Yes.
archival footage
Yeah.
a certain period, but you can recreate it through animation to kind of help tell the story and bring awareness. And I think I started seeing that in a few sports documentaries because I'm a former sports writer, and that does kind of excite me. Have you thought about dabbling in the documentary film space? Because obviously you could bring a lot and you can collaborate. Has that been something that you've thought about or considered with some of the friends you've made out here?
I definitely have thought about that. I'm fascinated by architecture, and when you come
Yeah.
to Palm Springs and AmDocs, like like mid-century modern is all around you, and sort of I love that. And so, if I were to make a documentary, it would be about architecture, just because I'm
Oh,
so passionate about it. Um, and yes, whenever I see my friends make documentaries, I'm like, oh, that is so cool. And they just do it so elegantly, and um, it's very inspirational. So yes, absolutely. Yes, it is something that I would love to do in the future.
uh, off air, I got something to talk to you about. I think I might have an idea for you, Masha. So
What?
we'll talk
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
But I'll be remiss to ask you, not to ask you, but with Pixar, what's coming up here in the near future? What's your next big project?
Yeah. So I just finished my assignment, which was working on Toy Story 5.
Ooh,
And, and it's and it's coming out this summer, this June.
wow.
It has been an incredible opportunity to revisit that world of Toy Story. I had an opportunity to work on Toy Story 3 a while ago,
Hmm.
and just being back in that world with the characters, and sort of this idea that, hey, toys can teach us something. Like sometimes toys can teach us a very human lesson. I love that, and so I'm excited to see how the audience reacts to the Toy Story film, and I hope they connect to the human message behind the film. Yeah.
Well, let's point this out. You worked on, I believe, it's Toy Story 3, which is one of three animated films to be nominated not for best animated, not just best animated, but best picture. Can you talk to, since we're working on the fifth one now, can you talk about that experience and just to do that? It's such an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you. Yes, I think, and anytime we work on a film, we don't think about the awards that we'll get. The main sort of goal is to connect to the audience, and it's interesting how every decision is in service of that. So I personally work on characters. If you compare my job to the live action, it would be like costume and makeup and wardrobe, and decisions about that are dictated like, hey, is this in the service of the story? Like these color choices, maybe this like I don't know, the amount of freckles on the character or some scars or whatever, is it helping to tell the story that we're trying to tell?
Mhm.
So and it can take a long time, like because there's a lot of decisions on a character, there's a lot of parts to the character, but it's I love that idea that everything is to tell a better story, so we connect to the audience. And I never thought it before I was in animation or at Pixar. I didn't think that that was the goal, but it certainly is a goal. Yeah.
That's the secret sauce, I think. I think that's what's made Pixar, and that's the secret sauce that made it such a beloved film. I had friends tell me they were in tears watching that movie, as well as Up, the other one that you worked on that was nominated for Best Picture.
Yes. Yeah.
Masha, we're running out of time. It seems
Yes.
like we never have enough time to talk. I love talking to you. I love being inspired by you. Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much
you.
for being a part of this and being a part of our festival. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait to be there in Palm Springs next week and just connect with the audience and the other filmmakers and everyone who's helping create and run this festival. Thank
And
you.
again, it's March 25th to 29th at the Palm Springs Cultural Center, www.amdocfilmfest.com. Get your tickets, and you might see Masha out there, and maybe she'll
Yes.
inspire you like she's inspired me. Masha, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.